Hello, dear ones. I'm back after my eye surgery. I'm going to go ahead and do galactic channeling. It's a little bit longer, probably closer to 5 minutes, so hang on tight. This one is about the concepts of good and evil, light and dark. This comes up very, very much, and I wanted to ask them about that and get some perspective on this about good, evil, light, dark, okay? The question often arises as to the nature of duality or contrast or polarization of your world of density and vibration. You have learned of the model of 3, 4, and 5 dimensions or densities of vibrational frequency ways of being. More is needed to understand that which you call good and evil, or light versus dark. Notice how the phrase is always versus. This means a conflict or struggle, when in fact there is no conflict or battle to be won. For light and dark are but more of the same level of natural order to the universes. We mean by this that in order to study the way of the pigman way of being, which is what they call the lower densities, requires one to immerse oneself in that level of density. Learning cannot be accomplished other than through the experience of that way. That layer of density brings about a natural order of things showing only 2 primary and basic energies, that which you call good and evil, or light and dark. The male and female energies occur in many other realms as well. So the main confusion is over the light and dark, or good and evil. These are human constructs utilized for knowing your way or navigating that realm. Nothing more. Repeating, they are but terms used to describe the vibrational quality of the energies you are playing with. The ethical and moral constructs are put upon those terms by humankind. In the vastness of the void of creation, there is only the energy, nothing more. It is most wise, our dear ones, to acknowledge your personal beliefs about this contrast of polarity that we describe, and then to see and feel beyond simple definitions. One cannot know light without fully exploring and examining the dark by going through the experiences of each possible side and variations, which brings wisdom. Be explorers, our light ones. Be wise when exploring. Do not get caught up in the energy of those minor descriptions of those variations and vibrations. For to get caught up in a learning experience brings pain and suffering. It is simply not necessary. Emotions in excess is the key to know when caught up. We know this tutoring seems simple, dearest ones, and it is, because it simply is this simple. There is only contrast. That is all. Be well and explore, dear ones. Yes, even explore that which is both light and dark with curiosity and joy. Be well, dear ones, and they end. So what they're saying, they're really trying to explain these concepts of good and evil, light and dark. We have a lot of misconceptions about this in general across the planet, because we've mixed into it religion, and we've mixed into it different beliefs that we've been brought up with generationally, meaning our lineage has brought up these concepts of good and evil, dark and light. When you go back and examine very, very ancient cultures, they also believed this to an extent, but they also believed in the balance of things. And so they had basic fear, because as an instinctual thing, we have this fear of the dark. But we as intellectual beings now, because we're purely intellectual beings at this point, we don't have to survive by going out and hunting and doing all these things we have to do. We used to be in unison with Gaia. We used to be in unison with nature. And so the polarities that exist in this dimension, 3rd dimension, because as we get up into 4th dimension and 5th dimension, that vibrational quality of things, and the beings that exist in higher dimensions don't have these concepts of good and evil. There is still light and dark, because they study vibrations and light and sound, and they manipulate that. In other words, they move out of the world of matter, of solid things, right? They move out of that, and so there's no need for duality. This model, even if you take into account this matrix and the archontic trap and all that, if you take all that into account, it's still our beliefs that we have put on it that we struggle with. It's simply 2 different energies. That's I mean, they're literally saying this, it's that simple, and it is that simple. The process here on this planet, the way I feel it and the way I've understood it over the last 30 years, and the summary that I finally come up with is life here on planet Earth is actually incredibly simple. We complicate it. The left brain, the ego, what we call the ego, which is just our soul personified, our soul as a person, complicates it. Because the ego, the left brain, was originally designed just for basic survival. If we didn't have it, we'd get eaten by lions if we didn't have the left brain. So it's very necessary, but it's taken control of us. And so it puts this concept of good and evil on everything. And it exists here. Please don't get me wrong. It exists here, but you have to pull yourself out of this concept and look back down upon yourself existing in this 3D world of duality. Okay, and again, as they're stating, and this is in many teachings, is people are afraid of looking at the dark, afraid of looking at evil, right? Demons and all these other things we put on it. Don't be afraid. The only way to actually know the quality and the expansiveness and the joy of a light is to take a look at that. It doesn't mean you have to dwell there. It doesn't mean you have to go there. It doesn't mean you have to live there. But you have to examine it, because we're here as students. We're here to grow, to expand, to experience. And so that entails not ignoring that, you see, because you can't ignore it. It's like saying I'm in this gigantic pool that has both hot water and bitter cold water, right? That would be the equivalent of good and evil. And I'm just going to not go over there to the warmer side of the pool at all. I'm just going to avoid it. Well, you're in this pool, okay? Take a look at it. Dip your toe in. The dark night of the soul. This is what it's all about. You cannot fully explore here without exploring the yin, the yang, the dark, the light. But try to stay away from these terms of good and evil. And don't get me wrong, on a personal level, I've met very evil people. I've seen evil. I could tell you stories, and I know what's going on this planet, politically, economically, etc. There's been a lot of evil ETs, etc. But try to avoid that description. Instead, start using in your mind this description of polarity or of contrast or two energies. And eventually your vibration will rise, because most of us right now are right in between that 3D, 4D place, or even 4D, 5D place. And once you get to 5D, that vibrational state of being, duality as we know it doesn't really exist, okay? So that would be my suggestion, is when you feel yourself falling into that place of, oh, things are so dark and this and that, again, you go watch some of my other videos, please. I talk about this mental exercise of do the exact opposite, do the exact opposite, do the exact opposite. And it takes practice. It's just like practicing sports or practicing a musical instrument. You have to practice training this guy, the brain, the mind. And then with the heart, balancing with the heart, balance the two. That's being spiritual here in 3D/4D. Okay? I hope this helps. I can do an entire class on this. It would take weeks to do a class on this and to discuss this out. Be more than happy to do that. Go ahead and share, like, and I'm opening up the membership channel as well. Go check that out, and I'll talk to you all again real soon. Bye-bye for now.